Hello Tai Chi players. Today we are going to go through a section of the Yang 24 form where we're going from the kicks into snake creeps down and rooster stands on one leg. So it's a nice little series in the form, and you work on both sides, so the left side and the right side. So I always like moves like that because it just seems like it makes it easier to learn and to get practice on both sides. Even if a move in the form is only done on one side, say when you perform it, I think it's a really good idea to always practice it on both sides, and that way you become really familiar with the move. You can help somebody else learn it by mirroring it, and then it just gives you a wider range of Tai Chi to practice. So as you're watching these videos and you're trying to learn the moves and you're wondering if it's left hand or right hand, I wouldn't spend too much time being too concerned about that. Practice the individual moves, and then as you start linking them together, it'll make sense which way they go. And traditionally the 24 form goes to the left, my left side, okay? But if you learn it and it's from video and you're going to the right and you learn it and then you continue to practice it and you can go to the left and to the right, it's all Tai Chi and it's all beneficial. And one of the things that I try to help my students understand is not get too caught up in the details while you're learning, because it takes away from the benefits of practicing Tai Chi, which is supposed to be calming, therapeutic, and lowering your blood pressure, working on your breath, those sort of things. So it's an art form to be patient with, not too detailed with. And as you learn it, it all comes. And I see it year after year, student after student, it starts to all come together. All right, so don't worry about so much, am I doing it on her left or my left or her right? Just follow along, learn it, and then you can practice both sides on your own. But these moves in the form today work on both sides in the form, so that's always, like I said, a nice thing. Okay, so in the last video we stopped off at box both ears. Okay, so from there we actually have another kick. So let's go from the first kick to box both ears to the second kick, and that'll give you an idea of where you are in the form. And then from there we'll go into snake creeps down and the rooster stands on one leg. Okay, so in the Yang 24 form, we start into this transition of high pat on horse. From there, I step, I'm going into the kick. And remember, the kick goes at a 45-degree angle out to the side. And then from there, you pull back in, step to that 45-degree angle that you kicked, and box both ears. Now from here, we're going to do a kick on the other side. So I'm going to shift the weight back, I pivot to the other angle, the other 45. So if this is my straight ahead, I kicked to one 45, and now I'm kicking to the other 45. So like if I'm looking at the wall, I'm going to kick to the corners of each room. So from one corner of the room, I'm going to pivot to face the other corner of the room, and then I'm going to kick out from here, from this 45 to another out. And from there, I'm just going to set my toe down to the other foot and bring up that closed pluck hand that we had in the single whip. So my fingertips are to my thumb, and I'm just lifting it up there. The other hand is just at my center, and I'll turn around in a little bit so you can see. So essentially, so far the form has been, if you're working on it, you can see my room is kind of at an angle, so I know that's a little tough, but Again, don't focus too much on directions, but if you're getting there, I've been doing the whole form straight lines, and now we get to these kicks and they're off at different angles. Basically what I'm trying to do, or the form is trying to do, is as you're heading this way across your room, it's going to turn you so you're going to be heading 180 degrees the other way. But we're doing that one little bit at a time, kind of like a backwards clock, if you will. So I'm just going backwards until I get turned around and go completely opposite direction of high pat on horse. Okay? All right, so let's go through from high pat on horse, the first kick and the second kick. Okay? Follow that angle. And now I'm going to rock back, pivot my front toe. And then as I lift the hands, I'm going to lift the other leg. Kick out. Bring that toe down and lift. Okay, so I went from here to 45, and then that second kick turned me around. Now I'm going to continue this turn and snake creeps down. So I just planted that leg I kicked with, I just put that toe down, and I'm going to step straight back with it. From there, let's just worry about the legs first. I'm going to sink down and pivot. So now that toe is facing 180 degrees from where it was when we started. After I sink down, I'm going to pivot. And now I'm facing completely 180 from high pat on horse. Okay? So let's try that again. So from the last kick, I'm stepping straight back behind me. I'm going to pivot and sink down and continue pivoting until I'm facing 180 degrees. Now, if you've watched other people do this move, you can get way down. They'll go all the way down to where their rear end is practically on the floor. In that stance, they'll go way down to here and shift and pivot up into snake creeps through the grass. If you have that flexibility and that strength and that doesn't cause you any pain in your knees or hips, by all means, do that, okay? But it's not, I mean, it's beautiful when people can really do that. It's like people who can kick over their head. It's amazing, you know? But it's not necessary in order to do the move correctly. I always like to start with proper technique, and then strength and flexibility and balance come with proper technique. It doesn't work the other way around, okay? Don't force something, in other words. Okay, so now the hands. We have two hands. We have the pluck, which is going to be our snake tail, and it's simply going to go from here. It's going to go down and back. So it'll flow better when we put the whole move together. I just wanted you to see it since we're turned around a little bit. The other hand, which is here, when I start, is going to go down. This is the snake head. So we have the head and the tail, and really my hand is just in a open-handed position. Remember, keep a rounded palm, so it's not flat like this, but a little rounded. And this head is going to go down, and you can think of that as snake creeps through the grass. It just kind of wriggles its way through the grass. So now we have this long extended snake. He was kind of curled up when we started to move. And then as we go through that big stance, the snake is going to elongate. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this happens on both sides, so you'll have to practice it on both sides, okay? Which is good for you, all right? It's good practice. Okay, so that's what the hands are doing, so let's put the snake creeps down together, all right? So we just finished our kick. We step down and create our snake. I'm going to step back. I'm going to start that sinking down, both legs. I'm going to sink down. And then as I start to turn and pivot, there's my snake. Okay? So, one more time, and then we'll go into the next movement. So I finish the kick. Step back. Sink, and I start to pivot. I start to make that turn to face the other side of the room. Snake creeps down. Now, one reason that you don't want to go too far down when you first start is the next movement. The next movement is a one-legged stance from where you were. So the lower you are down, the more difficult it is to get to the next movement. So you just kind of have to work with that. So I finish here. I'm going to take the back leg, and the back leg is going to come straight up. So I'm standing on one leg. Okay? The hands, they're already in a good position. I've got one out in front, one behind me. They're going to go up and down. So the back hand is going to come up while the front hand comes to my hip. And that's really all they're doing. So from the elongated snake, I'm going to just switch here. And then what that looks like from the front is just really very centered, very balanced, just straightforward. Now the hands in this, they are up and down, but our snake head was here. And the rooster stands on one leg. I'm going to have what we call an arc hand, all right? And the arc hand is for grabbing or striking to soft tissue areas, all right? Grabbing or striking. So I want to have that little bit of a grip kind of look there, right? Not flat, in other words, but as if you were trying to grab somebody's arm, okay? So the hands are just going to go from the snake position as I stand on one leg, up and down. Very, very simple movement, which is good because there's a lot of challenge going on with the legs, okay? So, starting from the snake creeps down, I'm simply going to start to raise this leg, and as I do that, bring the hands into position. And that's where I finish. That's the finish of that move. We have a grab in that move, we have a strike to the throat, and we have a knee strike. So that grab is pulling your, remember Tai Chi is a martial art, okay? So you're pulling your opponent's arm, maybe they grabbed you, you're grabbing, and you have a strike to the throat and a knee strike at the same time. Beautiful but deadly, all right? Okay, so let's put all of that together from the high pat on horse, okay? Don't forget, please put your questions in the comments. I'm happy to help you, or message me. You can find me on Facebook, and I'll post this on Facebook also, not just YouTube. Okay, so high pat on horse. Let's go with the first kick. This is our first moment to start a turn. So I'm going to kick at an angle, and then I'm going to follow that angle with box both ears. Now I begin my turn. I'm just going to reverse those hands, pivot the front foot, facing the other corner, and kick out. From there, I'm just going to bring that toe down and lift, preparing my hands for the snake. Step straight back with that same leg you kicked with. Sink down. Snake creeps through the grass and into rooster stands on one leg. Okay, let's try that from a different angle just so you can kind of see. I know my back's to you a lot in that. So coming straight towards you this time, high pat on horse. I step straight ahead, but now as I go to do the kick, I'm kicking off at an angle. And then I'm going to follow that angle that I created with my leg for box both ears. That can help you get on the right track. And now I'm just going to reverse those hands, pivot. Kick to the other side. And then I set that foot down, creating the snake right here. Make sure I don't step on anything. I'm going to step straight back. Sink. So now I'm looking right at you, and I'm going to turn 180 degrees for snake creeps down, and then lift up into rooster stands on one leg. Okay? I know, it's a lot to practice and this is a long video, all right? But it's a big movement. So now we need to do the snake creeps through the grass and the stand on one leg on the other side. So you can take the movement and you can just break it apart and practice the other side, you know, instead of starting here, start here. But the sequence is the same. I still step back, sink, move, and then go into the rooster stands on one leg. It's just the other side. So you can practice both sides. Let me do that again, just where you can see my feet. All right, so instead of starting here, I just mirror that. I flip that around. I still step straight back. I sink and pivot. Snake creeps through the grass. Lift the back leg. Rooster stands on one leg. So you can practice both sides. Now, I'm going to go over the transition between finishing one side, the one we just learned, and this second side that we did. All right, so let's go through the transition and then we'll put that together and that'll be the end of our lesson for today. Okay? So I finished my golden rooster, the first one. Now all I need to do is finally set that toe down. And I'm going to go ahead and put the foot all the way down and lift the other toe. So as I put that foot down, I exchange so I can pivot, and then I lift the toe again. So the feet, you see my feet. From here, I'm going to step down, pivot, and then lift that leg. So one more time. Set down, pivot, lift that leg. So I made a complete, from the very high pat on horse, I've turned to make a 180, facing the other side of the room. And then I'm going to turn to the front. As I prepare, snake creeps through the grass on the other side. Okay, now from here, I step back, I sink down, and I'm moving towards the same direction as the first snake. And then golden rooster on one leg. So let's go through that one more time. I know this is tricky. Tai Chi is not easy, and that's why you can get so immersed in it and so involved in it, and really does take your mind off things and helps you moving meditation. All right, there's a reason for that. So from the first golden rooster, I'm going to step down, pivot. So I've turned. And then I'm going to step straight back, sink, snake creeps through the grass, golden rooster stands on one leg. Now from here, I'm going to take this foot, because I do want to set it down. I'm going to turn it to the front of the room, set it down, so I've got kind of an X stance going on here. I'm going to take the back foot up to a balancing step, embrace the moon. And that's how we'll finish. So we have a little embrace the moon to kind of catch your breath after all that, okay? All right, so now we're going to start from high pat on horse all the way through both kicks, box both ears, snake creeps down, and rooster stands on one leg, finishing with embrace the moon. All right, and this will give you plenty to practice for a long time, all right? But it's a beautiful move, and you can already tell it's one that's going to really increase your strength, your flexibility, and your balance. So it's a whole package set of moves, okay? All right, so starting from high pat on horse. Out, kick, drop the hands, follow that angle, box both ears. Now we're just going to rewind, pivot the front toe, kick to the other side, and bring that toe down, preparing the hands for snake creeps through the grass. Step straight back, start to sink and pivot, snake creeps through the grass, and then bringing that back leg up, rooster stands on one leg. Now I'm going to move, so I know I'm a little out of frame there. So here, rooster stands on one leg, set that foot down, pivot to the front, prepare the snake on the other side, take that step back, sink down, and rooster stands on one leg. Place that foot down in front, take a balancing step here on the toe, and embrace the moon. All right? Now, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do that going the other direction, just so you can see what's going on the other side. But everything I'm doing is the same. I'm just going to turn around so you can see both sides, okay? So we started high pat on horse here on this side. So it's the same. This is my right hand. When I turn around, it's going to be my right hand. I'm just going to go the other direction. Starting here. Follow the pattern, which is box both ears is going to follow that kick. So wherever you kick, follow that with box both ears. And then just make a simple turn to the other side. And kick out. Now place that toe down, and you've got your hands ready for snake creeps through the grass. Take a step back, sink, snake creeps through the grass, and stand on one leg. From there, I'm going to place that foot down, turn, prepare the snake on the other side, step straight back, sink, snake creeps through the grass, and then rooster stands on one leg. Turning that foot out, set it down, take the back foot, step up to the toe, and embrace the moon. And that is plenty. I'm already sweating. You guys are giving me a good workout today. But great stuff to practice. It's really one of those things that's gonna take your Tai Chi to a stronger, more flexible, more mindful practice, is that little segment from the 24 form. So if you watch the rest of the videos on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to have all the movements in sequence. And then again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or message me. All right, guys, thank you so much. What a great lesson today. And y'all have a wonderful day.